Good morning, and it's good to see many of you and some of the people that I haven't met before. My name is David Hernandez, and no one in this room is immune to what we see happening, unfortunately, every day. My son and his wife bowl at the Reseda Bowl in Leimert Park, and just within this past week, an African-American gentleman with a family who worked at the Reseda Bowl, just doing his job and taking out the trash. And he was shot and killed by two of the Alabama gang members. We look at Leimert Park.
That's the area in Alabama?
It's in Alabama's the name of the gang.
Oh, not the 18th Street gang.
It's Alabama, the name of the gang, but it's in Leimert Park.
It's a Latino.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Right. And we saw a couple of days ago a young child was shot and killed because of crossfire. We would hear about people saying, well, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, being in front of your house, that's not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, it doesn't make any difference whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're sitting in your living room, whether you're at church. It makes no difference. The reality that we have to face, and I want to commend the sheriff, because when I heard him speak out, it was something that I knew was long overdue, because in order for us to address a problem, we have to at least admit there is a problem. And I believe that we are able to hear the truth. And granted, the sheriff said, it isn't 90%. What if it's only 5%? But unless you acknowledge that there is a problem, then you don't dedicate resources to address the problem. And when I became involved in the anti-immigration movement, it had nothing to do with race, it had to do about resources. In my community, and in the San Fernando Valley and throughout, I've seen community clinics close one after another, trauma centers closing, because of the unchecked increase in numbers. I mean, there's a reason that there are immigration quotas, not just for Mexico, but for every country. It's so that the resources can handle the influx. I started receiving phone calls from African American parents who were dedicated to education, who were going to advisory committee meetings put on by LAUSD, because they were involved in their child's education, or they were grandparents who were involved. And they were calling me and asked me to sit in on the meetings because the meetings were being held in Spanish. And because of the lack of resources, there wasn't an interpreter for the African American parents to hear what was going on. And when they protested and the board attempted to have the meetings mandated that they be in English, they were advised by an attorney for LAUSD that had violated the Civil Rights Act by mandating the meetings be in English.
That's ridiculous.
And so those are the challenges that we're dealing with. It's resources. Sure, if they would have had an interpreter there, I'm sure they would have accommodated. But it's not a matter. It's a matter of resources and unchecked numbers. And many times, I mean, I've been marching in the streets many times with many of you, with James and Elsie and Keith, and at great cost to my safety, I might add. Because for some reason, when they either at Leimert Park or in downtown LA or in Hollywood, it's very interesting that when the Spanish media approaches me, so why are you marching with them? And my question to the media is, either you don't see them as American, or you don't see me as American. And if you're judging because of the color of my skin, I should be on the sidelines taunting them, then that makes you racist. If I should be opposed to the African American community because of the color of my skin and supporting illegal immigration, that's racism. After a while, the media stopped asking me that. Because what I point out is, I'm an American, and I'm marching with Americans. They have a right to protest what is happening in their community, whether it's the loss of resources, whatever the issue. And so, I've been very involved in the community, and many times listening. I've been here when we had the panel, when we had the mother of the young girl that was killed at Cheryl Green, and I do a lot of listening. Or the child that was killed over at Western and was at 43rd was on the bus bench. See, what has happened, unfortunately, when we drive down the street and we see candles on the sidewalk, you know, does that really shock us to see that? It's normal. It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be acceptable. But everywhere we go, we see the little shrines where people have been murdered. That's not a way to light up a neighborhood. And so, one of the reasons that I stay involved is because it is important for everyone to realize that we have much more in common. You know, like the sheriff said, we have much more in common as residents of this city. And that as long as we have the courage to tell the truth about what is taking place, as long as we have the conviction to stay involved regardless of what the odds seem to be, then we will be able to keep moving forward. And you know, things like this, okay, so there's a handful of people here, but the reality is all of you have a sphere of influence that you will be able to talk about. And you will be able to say that, you know what, we're not in this alone. We're not a community under siege, although it may seem like it. We are a community, period, and we are willing to work together as a community. And so I continue to stay involved, I continue to stay engaged, because this is where I live. My mother's 80 years old, my mother-in-law is 83. I'm not moving. And I want to thank all of you for staying engaged and staying involved, and whether it's through the church or through your ministries or through education or through law enforcement or the nonprofits and the at-risk youth programs. I mean, there is so much that can be done, and that's why we need to be very careful of where the resources are being spent to make sure that they are going for programs that have positive results. Thank you.